All right, guys, Rob Ferretti. Here I am tearing apart my Corvette. I would pretend like I got to the comments from yesterday, which I'll probably say, or today, whatever it is. It will be yesterday by the time this posts. Don't do it, whatever. I'm doing it, and pretty short order. I already regret it. Now, I was up in the air whether or not I looked online. The body harness goes for like $400 or $500 online. So I was like, yeah, maybe I'll just take it out. And then I look and there's so much stuff spliced into it. I said, forget it. So I got lazy, and instead of untangling everything, I just started snipping it off when you have the vestigial ends that aren't connected to anything. I went a little, like Frozen 2, when you go a little too far. I went a little too far and ended up snipping, like to try to get multiple bundles at once to be efficient. And I ended up snipping these, which are actually connected to something. It was part of another bundle that these were just sort of taped together and through a couple of Ys. So I'll have to potentially reconnect that. The one is the emergency brake, which I don't think makes a difference. It used to be a brake light in the dash. It says brake light on or off. This is the only one that would concern me. This is the yaw sensor, and there's a little yaw sensor that's down there attached to the seat, and that measures body roll and everything like that for active handling and stuff along those lines. I don't think that this car is using that anymore, and if it's not, I can yank it out. I'm trying to get a clear answer whether the AEM is operating fully by itself, as if I just built a kit car, or whether that is actually pulling any data from the car. And until I get that answer definitively, I'm not going to start ripping out computers and everything like that. But there is a chance I may be ripping out all computers. But again, like these things, I just have to go through. I've got all the wiring diagrams. I got to go through what they are actually controlling. And if it's not there anymore, it's coming out. But obviously, like when I see something like this here, this big white connector, I say that ain't attached to shit or anything, and I can just trace that back as far as I can get back there and cut it. I may take this bracket out for now, just so I can at least have free reign at this. It is sort of getting in the way. And that this, I've got my GPS sensor for the AEM in here powered up, and then in the cup holder. I may get rid of this whole thing altogether, and if I get rid of this, I'll have to remount that. But I don't know if I can describe how much I dislike peeling old electrical tape, because it's either like super old and crusty and it flakes apart, or it's like in that sticky phase, which it sticks to everything and it gets your hands all nasty. That's where I'm at now. And I just don't know, because I didn't tune it, what we're pulling off of the factory ECUs. But right now, as I'm sort of chopping away, I know this isn't being used, this isn't being used. The windows I have hard switched here with these two. So the only thing I have is the power door locks and probably the power mirror, wherever that wire is, so I can trace those back, but I don't even have the switches for the power mirrors anyway. The ones on the driver's side door got busted off. This was probably the one on the passenger side door. So again, we're just getting rid of extra stuff. And it's already looking better, right? So the weight reduction is definitely secondary to the AEM and getting it running right. Let me give this another shot, and then I'll tell you what I did. So, okay, definitely came in the wrong way. All right, not as nimble as I once was. All right, so what I did here was this. I've noticed that when this second light lit up, the car would start, right? And that was just something we noticed was a correlation. Now, if you look at this panel, you'll notice that that's the cool suit, or was the cool suit. So what I've done is I've done and the ground for this whole switch panel was over here. I've moved it all the way over here. So the only thing that's connected to the AEM, this is the traction control wire, and that's what I can use to turn traction control on and off. I figured that maybe this panel had a bad ground, and that could have been the issue, and we will see momentarily if that worked. Just move some of this stuff out of the way, and then I'll flip up the AEM so you can see it, and I can see it more importantly. All right. All right, we got a reading. Nope, still cycling. All right. So that didn't solve the problem. I thought it would, but we gave it a shot. All right, since that didn't work, next up we're gonna see how much of a parasitic drag that fan is. Because that fan, maybe at 11.4, let me unplug that and see that if I get rid of the fan and put that on a flip switch and on an on-off switch instead of constant power, that maybe the starter wouldn't draw too much to then make it start and cause this to reboot. That's my guess, but let's give it a shot. Okay, giant fan. All right, so the fan has been disconnected. Some nice silence. Silence. We picked up 0.6 volts. Let's see what happens. It still resets. But that should start it. There you go. So, you see what happened there. That the fan was disconnected. We got a little bit more juice out of it. When it was cycling through, it still cycled, which it shouldn't do. But when it cycled through, it showed the voltages, and it was all the way down to 9 volts, but it was still enough to kick it over. So we're getting there, but I don't think it obviously needs more power, but let's see if I can solve why the AEM is kicking over, because if the AEM didn't kick over and reboot, I think we'd be in a much better position. It shouldn't do that. Like, there's no reason a computer should reset itself. All right, next move, we're gonna put and I'm gonna go do it now. You know what, just leave it right here. I'm gonna put the battery power onto nuclear. And right now, we've got another 200 volts to jumpstart. And we'll see if I can get this thing enough power to where it's happy. All right, now we're at 15 volts, which is proper. Still resets, but it's gonna start now. It's got so when I throw a lot of power at it, the problem isn't that it's not getting enough juice, because it's still resetting. But I do want to point out, right? I've cut a lot of stuff out of the cart, and it still starts. So Rob Ferretti's Chop Shop Mechanic is not doing so bad so far. I think, I don't want to be too confident, but I think I figured it out. So power, you got this main power cable here that goes from the battery relocation kit in the back to the front here. Then you got these two little powers, and this one powers the AEM. So when I took this off, you got that little extra plastic, possibly preventing it from getting a great connection. So I'm going to clean that up and see if that works. Alright, so I got rid of the extra glue, or whatever that sealant is. And I'll put that back up and see if this thing still reboots. I really hope it fixed it. Like, it's stupid if it does, but I hope so. Still have the fans unplugged. Have addressed that, but again, we could start working backwards again once we get this thing to at least be predictable. See if we can get the AEM. The goal is to have the AEM not cycle. So there's your battery voltage. We got a pretty significant draw, but we're not cycling. And let's see if we can get 3 of those in a row, because it would cycle every time. There's our reading. Now it froze. Let's see if it starts. So it froze, but it didn't cycle. So the not cycling thing will be huge. So if I just solved one, that's not even getting any reading. It's gonna be good. Again, no reading. So I'm not even getting a signal to the AEM now, because this is the traction control switch. Take this out. But at least I have it in a spot where it's not cycling out. Let me reset the battery and give this another go. So one last go at this and we'll call it a day. And I can come back and tackle it another day. Should have values here. Yep. And then it froze again. Okay. Let's see what happens if I take it out. Should have no values now. Oh no, no values. Should start now. Okay. I think I'm at least getting it to the point where I can get Felix back in here with the computer, and we've identified why it was cycling, and that's a good start. So I'll leave it at that. I'll clean this up a little bit more. The fact that it's running, or I mean, obviously it's stalling out, but I'll let him get in here with the computer, and it'll actually at least be fruitful, the fact that the thing isn't cycling and we're not blaming the battery. So stay tuned. I don't know if this was informative, helpful, or just a complete train wreck for you guys to watch, but it is what it is. I'm going to share it with you, and we'll get this thing fixed, running, and race worthy and reliable. And part of being reliable is starting up every time you turn the key. What happens from there is anyone's guess. So you guys are familiar with my other company, Adventure Drives, right? Well, this year we've got 2 trips coming up. One which is starting in Seattle and ending in Jackson Hole in July. That's going up through the Canadian Rockies, coming down through Banff, Yellowstone, Glacier National Park, and Grand Teton National Park. It's going to be phenomenal. Also, we're going to be going to Scotland in October. We're going to be doing Scotch distilleries, playing golf at St. Andrews if you want to do that, walking around, seeing lakes, waterfalls, driving the North Coast. It's going to be an amazing trip. Prices start as low as $2,500 per person for the shorter trip in Scotland, about double that for the longer trip in July. If you're interested in going, check out the link in the description.